Before I get into it, I'm just gonna say this up front. This top 10 list, it is my list. It is subjective. It is all opinion. It is based on the shoes that I like. It is based on the shoes that I have nostalgia for. It's not some list where you're supposed to use as like the 10 undeniable, objective, best sneakers of 2024. It is my list. So if you disagree with anything on this list, that's okay. Your opinion might actually be more factually correct than mine, but this is still my list. I still have to just tell you what I genuinely think. And of course, as a kid growing up in the 90s, early 2000s, Nike and Jordan, they still play a huge role in current sneaker industry, but they played like an oversized role in my upbringing. I've always been a Nike and Jordan kid. So as an adult, obviously, I'm gonna be very biased towards my personal affinity for Jordans and Nikes. This list is not a review. For every other review video that I do, I give you my opinion on like the colorway, but I also review objectively whether or not that shoe has trash materials, good materials, whether or not the execution and storytelling is on point. This list is not. This is completely subjective. So here we go. At number 10, there's a collaboration between Nike and Tekken 8. This year, it was the 30th year anniversary of the Tekken fighting franchise. I'm probably alone in an island for including this shoe in my top 10 sneakers of the year list, but it is absolutely a nostalgia play for me. I can't be very objective when it comes to this. Tekken was one of my first video games that I ever played, Tekken 3 to be specific, and that game basically changed the way I saw gaming in general. I just spent so many hours, and when they announced they were going to come out with a Foamposite Tekken, I was ecstatic. Of course, we saw the Kazuya colorway first in EVO 2024. That was a fighting tournament. I didn't actually love the Kazuya colorway, even though it totally makes sense. Kazuya, even in the video game, he's known to be a sneakerhead, but the Jin colorway was my favorite out of the two, and you'll see the lightning kind of design on the Foamposite upper. I just feel like it's very well done. It's not too much where it can look a bit tacky and corny, but I think it is still there to make the shoe very unique. And it is actually 3M, so you actually see the reflected pattern of the shoe. I like the Tekken storytelling. I like the Tekken branding on the tongues as well as on the insoles itself. And maybe the highlight of this shoe, it is that box. It's like just a sturdy, heavy duty box, but the artwork is cool as well. It incorporated the first scene when you like start playing Tekken 8 onto the shoebox. And yeah, it's just a really nice kind of unboxing experience that I really enjoyed getting. And another one of my favorite things about the shoe, it is the outsole with this transparent kind of green, semi-transparent, translucent outsole. And you see the words fist and fate kind of poking through from behind. I just love the colors that's chosen on the outsole as well. Yeah, there's been quite a few nice foams that have come out this year, like the cherry blossom foams, the metallic copper ones that I just reviewed. The OG Royals obviously came back, but because this is a Tekken special, had to make my list. I just couldn't leave this off the top 10 of my purchases and shoes that I've reviewed this year. It is just undeniable for me. Now next, it is the Kobe 4 Protro Girl Dad that dropped on June 7th for $190. And if you didn't know, this colorway was inspired by the famous image of Kobe Bryant watching an NBA game courtside with his daughter Gigi Bryant. Obviously, both of them tragically passed away in a helicopter accident back in 2020. And yeah, this colorway just works so well. And it also helps that I'm a huge Kobe Bryant fan. Kobe 4s, just from the way it looks, I think it's probably definitely top 3 like silhouettes from Kobe Bryant that's ever come out. I think the Kobe 1s, I just have like a kind of personal bias for. Really liked how that shoe looks. But Kobe 4s, not far behind. I really think this would make a really nice casual shoe as well. Looks great on court. And I think this colorway is also really clean and this very nice feeling nubuck. The materials feel quality. There's not too much going on, just in like a very clean type of sea foam green with a black swoosh and this metallic chrome heel counter. That looks really good. And I'm just a sucker also for these type of like semi-translucent icy outsoles. It always gets me. Now this year we have seen quite a few Kobe's come out. So we had like a bunch of Kobe 9s. I just reviewed the Kobe 9 Protro Christmas. The Halo colorway also came out. There were a bunch of Kobe 8 Protros, like the team colorways. So it's been a pretty good year for Kobe Bryant shoes. But I think out of all of the ones that I was able to get in hand, remember, this list only consists of shoes that I'm able to get in hand and like actually feel and touch and see in person. Out of all of them, this has to be my favorite. And at number 8, it is the Arma Manea Jordan 4 While You Were Sleeping. First dropped on September 20th for $225. Now this is one of 6 shoes as part of the While You Were Sleeping collection that is to celebrate Arma Manea's 10th year in business. And this, out of all of them, yeah, I think it's my favorite. It just edged out the Jordan 3s that I really like. I also reviewed the Jordan 39s, and I did actually get the Converse lows. Out of all 6, this is my favorite. This is just very cleanly and well done. It's a very kind of unique and different colorway. Of course, with Armand Manier's very like distinct burgundy, as well as this light burgundy violet ore color. And of course, it has really good storytelling. A lot of Armand Manier branding on the tongue, as well as on the insoles itself. On the stitching pattern, comes with a bunch of extras like this hang tag keychain thing, the sizing tag, even under the insole, there's some storytelling there. If you want to know all the details, just go check out my very detailed review of this shoe. But as nice as this is, it's been a pretty big year for Jordan 4s. Some OGs have returned. Just a preview, you're probably not surprised. This is not the only Jordan 4 on this list. And at number 7, it is the Jumpman Jack University Red that dropped on May 10th for $200. Now, I will say, I think the sale colorway is actually slightly better, just off the fact that it has gum bottoms, but I never actually got my hands on that shoe. Super expensive. This was a gift from a friend, so I'm very lucky to have this in hand. So the inclusion of this shoe is more around the Jumpman Jacks in general. Obviously, it is a new silhouette for Travis Scott for 2024, and I just absolutely love and appreciate the Air Trainer 1 inspiration. One of the best silhouettes I think Nike's ever put out. Just a classic. So wearable, even though it's technically just a trainer. I love the forefoot strap that they included on this shoe as well. I just think this is a very, very nice looking silhouette. Color-wise, it's very good as well. Majority white with some hints of very wearable red. The black base I love as a black sneaker lover. I don't love that for most Jumpman Jacks, they've gone with the canvas base layer. I don't really love canvas on shoes, but it is a choice, and it also doesn't crease as like ugly as like leather, suede, or nubuck. So that's always a bonus. Now, compared to the Field Jacks that they're going to come out with next year, I actually think the Jumpman Jacks are quite a bit better, at least just in terms of how it looks. And maybe that's just my bias for Air Trainer 1s. But I can't say enough good things about this shoe. I guess I could say one bad thing though, is that even though I think around my feet, like just the way my feet feels in this shoe, it is pretty comfortable, but under your feet, it just really lacks any technology. It's a new shoe, so they could have included some like modern day technology, at least some Zoom Air, even like Zoom X foam or something like that. Maybe, especially for $200, but they made it a shoe like it's 1982. Aside from that though, I really don't have any complaints. Now, I mentioned that the sale colorway was probably my favorite Jumpman Jacks of the year. The dark mochas that I just reviewed are really nice as well. So they're all kind of like super nice to me, but if I had to just choose one out of all of them, probably would have gone with the sale with the gum bottoms, and then probably this one, and then followed by the dark mochas. I love brown sneakers, but something about the sale and this colorway, it is just elite. I think it looks very, very nice. Now, I did think about including the Jordan 1 Low Travis Medium Olive that I also reviewed. Love that colorway, looks really nice. And I love olive as well. But I think because we've seen such a similar variation of that colorway, the black base that I have, that I actually prefer over the medium olive, I didn't include it in this list. But yeah, on any other given day, probably would have made the top 10. And I had to choose the ones that I think made a lasting impression for me, that really stood out to me just instinctually. I didn't want to put too much thought into like curating the perfect top 10 list. So yeah, I included the Jumpman Jack instead. And at number 6, it is the Jordan 4 Military Blue. Like I alluded to earlier, this has been a pretty good year for Jordan 4s. It is the 35th year anniversary of the Jordan 4. And one of the best ones is definitely the return of the Military Blue. And look at it. Just look at it. How can you deny this? How can you deny this? It is such a clean colorway. It's probably most people's like least favorite OG colorway of the Jordan 4, but that's not because it's a bad colorway. It's just because the OG colorways were just so damn strong. And I do have to admit, the materials aren't exactly like the most premium on this shoe, but at least in terms of the comfort, where a lot of Jordan 4s can come very like stiff and like just hard to wear out of the box, this relatively is actually pretty decent. It's not as good as the Pine Greens or the Bread Reimagined, but I think I didn't have any too big complaints in terms of comfort for this shoe. And yeah, I just couldn't leave this off the list. And I'm probably part of that majority that thinks this is the weakest OG colorway of the Jordan 4. But again, I stress, they were all so nice, so elite. The worst is like being first in another competition. They're all so good. Now, at number 5, I did cheat a little bit. I included 2 shoes, both basketball shoes and not specific colorways. It is the Adidas AE1 and the Sabrina 2s. Now, the ones that I have in hand is the Adidas AE1 Mid Ascent and the Sabrina 2 Oregon. And the reason why I included these and both number 5 is I really wanted to include a basketball shoe on this list. I recently started reviewing basketball shoes just because I've always played basketball throughout my life. It's actually my favorite type of review to do, and I have picked it back up a bit more seriously in a few competitions and leagues. Took like a 3 or 4 year break from it. My knees were just not very functional during that time, but I have felt much better recently, and it's been great. And the reason why I couldn't choose between the two is personally, for my feet, performance-wise, I always go with the Sabrina 2s if I had to choose a shoe to play ball in 2024. It is just so good in terms of the Cushlon 3.0 cushioning. The traction is really good as well. It's very lightweight, very affordable. That is very important as well. And it's no like surprise that this was the second most worn shoe after the Kobe 6, I think it was the Kobe 6 by NBA players, because it just performs so well. I will say the shape of the shoe, it obviously takes a lot of inspiration from like, I guess, Kobe Bryant shoes. Like a lot of low cut Nike basketball sneakers start to kind of look like knockoffs of Kobe's shoes, but performance wise, this cannot be denied. I love these. And the reason why I had put the AE1s in here is because the shape of this shoe is just so well done. It's just one of the best debuts for an athlete and his shoe in recent memory. Performance is good as well. Some people think it's a very heavy shoe. I've never really had a problem with like heavier basketball sneakers. I was playing ball when like LeBron 4s were still coming out, so it's nothing too new to me. So I didn't mind the weight. The fit, some people have an issue with as well. For my feet, it wasn't a huge problem. It is a hard shoe to put in, but once you slide your foot in there, once you stuff it in, it feels good on feet. Now, performance-wise, I just didn't love the cushioning as much as I love the Cushlon 3.0 setup. So performance, I still go with these. Both of them offer really good support, torsional rigidity. I'm a very light player, so I never really have too many problems with support and rigidity. But the best thing that the AE1s did was that it pretty much didn't miss on any colorway. Like all of them looked like decent at worst to like really, really good. I think this is my favorite colorway out of everything that's dropped. I just really like this dark charcoal marble type of pattern that you see on the upper. Of course, you had the Stormtroopers that were really nice. The McDonald's All-American, that's a very rare shoe. And the marketing that Adidas did, like coming for other players, coming for Nike, that was genius as well. And he's obviously a very marketable and very exciting player. I think this just had to be on my list as a basketball shoe. Now you compare this with another very exciting young player in the NBA. A lot of people have forgotten about him, but he is still super electric, Ja Morant. And you see what Nike did with the Ja 2s. Huge disappointment. Like you can't give a Ja 2 to a Ja Morant. Like it's just one of the most exciting, electrifying, just draws eyeballs. Every time he like jumps or does something in the air, you're like, he's gonna do something insane. And they give him the Ja 2s. It's just criminal. Can't explain it. Next it is the Futura Nike SB Dunk. And as someone that's not really like a huge Nike Dunks guy, every year there's like 1 or 2 dunks that just make me go, it's undeniable. I have to get them. Last year, I think was a pretty good year for dunks. You had the Cerritos, Born and Raised, the Utos, just some real juggernauts when it came to SBs. This year, I think has really paled in comparison, but this is the one that I had to get. This is just so well done. So well done. Now, Futura, if you didn't know, he is a New York City artist, very known for his like graffiti style work. And you see on this shoe, on the canvas base, you can see these very unique, colorful type of marble swirly patterns on this sneaker. But what's interesting about these is the outsole here, but it has a signature across that cutout in the middle. Colors are quite bold, quite out there, but I think it still works. Usually, I'm a person that kind of likes more subtle and more under the radar designs, but yeah, when you make something this nice, it is hard to deny. But it's not even the best Futura SB Dunk of the year. A friends and family one that normal peasants like you and me just would never be able to get. That is nice. That is a nice shoe. If I could get my hands on those, definitely would have been on this list, but I couldn't. I'll take these. This is great. This is really great. And at number 3, it is a Jordan 3. It is, of course, the Jordan 3 Black Cement, a shoe that was supposed to be another addition to the Reimagined series. Very happy they didn't do that. I didn't need like pre-aged midsoles or anything on this shoe. Black Cement, true to the original form of this great colorway that came out in 1988, and OG colorway, my favorite OG colorway of a Jordan 3. It is just perfect. The black base, as a black sneaker lover, come on. This is so nice. I know a lot of people had like QC issues. That kind of reminds me of last year's Jordan 3 Reimagined. But if you're lucky enough to get one that didn't have huge QC issues, how can you hate this shoe? I know some people had some issues with the very thin elephant print that is used on this, and some people actually preferred the 2018 version of this colorway. Personally, I've always said the thinner elephant print is closer to the original, closer to the OG. But even apart from that, I think just the way it looks, it's just more clean. I don't really love like the very dark and deep and thick elephant print that you've seen on like some recent Jordan 3s. I believe this year they've kind of made an effort to go kind of lighter, thinner on the elephant print, but whatever you prefer, it doesn't matter because this colorway, for me, it is undeniable. A black sneaker lover like me, this was definitely going to be in my top 3. But it is just number 3 because at number 2 it is another OG colorway. It is the Jordan 4 Bread Reimagined that first dropped on February 17th for $215. Now, some people may have a problem with them switching the materials out for leather. I think it's still really nice. You know, I know the point of always wanting it to be like a one-to-one, true to the original, as far as reimagining a shoe, changing it out for leather. I still think this colorway is too undeniable to not like. The leather is pretty nice too, it's pretty thick, but I do actually love leather on sneakers. I think leather is the king in terms of materials. I just love how it looks and feels on a shoe. My favorite thing about this shoe is it's actually a pretty comfortable Jordan 4. It came with a polyurethane insole. It didn't feel too boxy and like super stiff out of the box when you first wear this shoe. And the reason it is number 2, because the number 1 shoe, it is my grail. It is a shoe that I'm so glad that released to the general public for the first time ever. That is Wu-Tang Clan Nike Dunk High. Now, if you haven't seen my review of this shoe, do me a favor, just watch it after this video. But I go into detail about what Wu-Tang Clan personally means to me, but they played a pretty pivotal role in my upbringing in terms of the music. And of course, this shoe originally dropped with only 100 pairs. Normal people were not able to get them, like they went to promotional purposes. 2016, they were trying to bring it back, never really came to fruition. This time, they brought it back for the first time ever for $150 on November 9th for the anniversary of their first album, Into the Wu-Tang, 36 Chambers. Now, there was actually a special release of this shoe. There were 36 pairs that came in like a very special box that also came with like a t-shirt and a jar of honey. Obviously, I was not able to get that very special edition shoe. This is good enough for me. But I will say the one big complaint that I have when this released was the unboxing experience. I feel like the box could have been slightly more special. Just make it, I don't know, a bit more surreal than just like plain Nike box. But yeah, I think they would have had to really screw this up for me to not put this shoe number 1. This perfectly encapsulates when like my life and other parts of my life meets my love for sneakers. My love for Wu-Tang Clan and their music, what it meant to me in my life when it collided with shoes and sneakers in general. This is what results. Just an insane amount of excitement and almost kind of hard to believe moment, because for a long time, a lot of people just never thought they would be able to get this shoe in hand and like touch them and feel them. But then you see the Wu-Tang branding on the tongue, the Wu-Tang logo on the heel counter. It's actually a slightly different direction than the originals. The yellow is a slightly different shade as well. But for all intents and purposes, this is so dramatic and it's just over dramatic. But it must be like holding like the NBA trophy if you're an NBA player. I feel like a lot of people, when they go through like the top 10 list, especially if you're like a media outlet, you have to like debate on what shoe should be number 1, how people are gonna react, are they gonna get backlash? For me, I started thinking about this list from number 2. When this shoe was announced, when I got them in hand, reviewed them, I was like, this is easily my number 1 top sneaker of the year. And just like how I view Wu-Tang Clan's music, they're the number 1 rap group. For me, of all time, this is my number 1 shoe of 2024 and definitely, probably my number 1 shoe that I'll ever get my hands on. So that's it. Thanks for watching. So inclined. Let me know what you think of my top 10 sneakers of 2024. Like, subscribe, comment, all the good stuff. And remember, tomorrow may never come, so wear your shoes.